Welcome back to Trails in the Sky. Where we last left off, we had to see the factory chief, so let's head to the Zeiss Central factory and do that. And we're going to get sidetracked a little bit here because there's a whole ton of new quartz that are available to make here. So we have Defense 2, Mute, I already have one of those. We actually have access to HP 3 now, but not nearly enough water seepeth to make that. Mines 2, we can make Attack 2, but we already got that out of an earlier side quest. Confuse is new, and for only 50 fire seepeth, that's actually kind of a steal. Confuse is actually insanely good in this game. Shield 1, Shield 2, that's new. Evade 3 is also new, but that costs way too much seepeth. I guess I can go ahead and grab Shield 2 because I don't actually have that yet. Sleep is new, so let's get that one. Oh, okay, EP Cut 2 must have been the one that I was missing that came with Tita. So, technically we actually have one of these. It says 0 in inventory because Tita still has it. But more of these is not a bad idea, especially later on when we start, well, yeah. EP2, EP3, that's very expensive. Hit 2, Hit 3. Yeah, there are quite a few more quartz we can get that, I don't know, I may as well get a second EP Cut 2, actually. And there's a few more quartz we don't have yet, but let's just go ahead and mess around with my orbit for a second here. Yeah, EP Cut 2 drops White Gahana's cost by a whopping 10 EP, so that's actually pretty decent. Now, something kind of interesting about this is that you have to talk to the receptionist before you're allowed into the factory chief's room, which actually makes perfect sense. I just love the way this game describes, like, you know, actions happening like this. Especially like that. Well, looks like he was already informed of our arrival. So upstairs on the second floor, that's, well, one floor above this because this is the first floor. And, yeah, it's actually interesting because I didn't really realize this until I saw, like, comments on Shadow Conroy's Xenoblade playthrough, but the first floor of a building being called the ground floor is actually a European and Australian thing. So yeah, I'm used to this, like here, for me, this floor would be called the ground floor, but it's the first floor here because they're using American and I guess Japanese conventions. So you can either take the lift or the stairs. Now's a good time to give you a bit of a tour of the factory. If you take the stairs down to the basement, you go through this passage here and we end up back on the assembly line. The lift is a lot more convenient, but you will want to familiarize yourself with the stairs for later, just saying. I'm actually going to kind of alternate between them because that's kind of the most natural way to explore this place. So the second floor is actually where we need to go, but this here is the factory chief's office. Let's not go there just yet. Instead, we're going to go to the archives because here is where we have a quest, Temp Librarian. This quest is actually very well timed, and I'm pretty sure it's quite deliberate that they give it to you now, because it gives you kind of a natural tour of the factory just for completing it. You'll see what I mean in a moment. I will say that you don't technically need to really familiarize yourself with the layout of the factory if you're only concerned with the bare minimum in this game. But knowing the layout definitely helps with getting bonus BP later, as well as side quests. So yeah, Joshua abbreviates that even in the dialogue when really there's no real reason to. We should probably just say temporary librarian, but still. Okay then. So this quest is a little more complicated than it seems. Oh boy, this gives me flashbacks to renting games from Blockbuster, RIP Blockbuster, but yeah, let's just say that I accumulated a lot of late fees there. So, in order to get all these books, we pretty much have to go all over the factory. 1 on the 3rd floor and 2 on the 4th floor. Well, she's kinda lying. That's everything for now, but not entirely everything, let's just say. Some of these shelves already have books on them that you can actually read. Hertz's Adventure 1. And over here, yeah, nothing else. I think Hertz's Adventure 1 is the only one that's currently left in the library. So we're gonna go in the lift and take it up to the 3rd floor. Yeah, this place is pretty big. Though it's actually not that. It's actually pretty simple to get around. So here's the Central Factory Design Room, and that's actually one of the books we need. Septium Optic Annals. Prometheus is a very cool name for a scientist, by the way. Oh, you went to the Royal Academy. Also, Igor is a pretty cool name for a scientist. Well, tell that to Mayor Dalmore. So yeah, these people actually worked on the, and I still am conflicted about how to pronounce this. Maybe I should actually listen to what the Japanese voice patch says. Arceal, like, I think in Japanese it's more like Arceal, but anyway. So, we get a little bit of backstory on the development of that here. We don't need to go into the workshop just yet, but we will later. Also, this guy, we've actually met Carl before. We did a quest for him back in the Ruin region. This is the guy who wanted us to find the prototype orbital gun. And yeah, so yet more dialogue of NPCs remembering earlier side quests you've done. That subtle X will remember that system at play here. That science guy. So, hopefully when Olivier inevitably rejoins, we'll be able to equip him with something like that. Anyway. Yeah, I'm kind of weaving back and forth here, that's why I said I'd be using a combination of the lift and the stairs. This at least gives these two more exercise. So this is the 4th floor, where there's 2 books that we know of. Firstly is the lab. Now the lab is important for several reasons. Firstly, this book here, Tomorrow's Cooking. Actually, you want to make sure that you go ahead and read Tomorrow's Cooking right now. That's actually significant for something else. So I guess I was planning to talk about this at the end of the side quest, but I guess I'll mention this now. You can read these books, by the way. So Septium Optic Annals, yeah, you can actually read this. I'll be reading this on my own time later on in a bonus video. But Tomorrow's Cooking you want to read now. Let's just say that you don't lose your chance to read these if you return them. I suppose I have to read this now, don't I? Cooking is a science! Recipes for the new millennium! Today, I will be introducing one of my newest cooking recipes, specially for those readers of this book, and that recipe is none other than, drumroll please, can you guess what it is? I think it's like, pronounced like, I think I know how that's pronounced because in Splatoon there's a map called Booyah Base, and I think that's actually close to how it's pronounced, but anyway, just in case I'm getting it wrong, I won't try and say it. Yes, that's right, this delectable dish of unobtrusive monster bits is one that everyone can enjoy. Follow my groundbreaking recipe, and that monster corpse you've been dragging around will taste simply divine. That's some guy's nice leaning on the 4th wall there. Now, whip out your sword and let's get started. Ingredients, juicy bone times 2, fish fillet times 2, I'm Australian, I say fillet. Crisp onion times 1, red pepper, add to taste, clear gelatin, add to taste. Directions, wash juicy bones thoroughly with water. If you're still bothered by the scent, then try boiling them, or if all else fails, ram a clove of garlic deep into each nostril. 2. Finely chop crisp onion. Chop juicy bones and fish fillet into edible-sized pieces. Lightly rinse clear gelatin in water after unraveling it. 3. Saute ingredients in a heated frying pan. After fish fillet has been lightly cooked, add water or soup and simmer until liquid has half evaporated. Lastly, add clear gelatin and bring to a boil. Remove from heat and wait for thickening. 5. After clear gelatin thickens, cut it into edible-sized pieces. Your booyah... I'm still not going to try and pronounce that, is now ready. You may eat it as is, or heating it with a little flashy orbital magic makes for a great dinner show. This dish is great for lunchboxes and scaring small children. I love that. But yeah, we actually learned the recipe for doing that. It's kind of nice that they actually talk about the full recipe. But anyway, the other thing that I wanted to talk about here, I actually totally forgot about that recipe. But yeah, don't actually worry if you forget to read that before returning it. You can still read it from the library once it's back there. Also, I love how the Central Factory logo is on that box you can see in the corner, but that's just... Anyway, I'm going all over the place here. So this guy is actually kind of significant. He's bred a new species of tomato. And, well, that sounds ominous. If we go into the greenhouse and select this, we get an acerbic tomato. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but this is kind of an interesting ingredient because if you leave and return, you can farm as many of these as you want. You can't buy this in stores yet because, well, it's not been really properly tested and marketed yet. It's exclusive to this guy's research lab, but I would recommend grabbing as many of these as you can because it will be later involved in a recipe that is the best source of CP replenishment in the entire game. So... yeah, make sure you grab these wherever you get the chance. I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. Then we have the Central Factory Clinic. This place is also going to become important later. Hopefully people don't get injured here very often. Oh, there it is. Wow, it blended in so well with the table that I almost missed it. Kitty Talk for Dummies. So this one I also kind of want to show right now. I am not going to be trying to do a dramatic reading of this at all, for very obvious reasons. Because, look at this. This is one of my favorite books in the game, but, the writers must have had so much fun writing this one. Yeah. These nails are bothering me. So we meet again, fleshy thing. I don't know, as someone who actually owns a cat, I just find this really funny. You are welcome, squishy pink thing. So, I'm actually wondering if you can actually translate Antoine, who's the cat we met at the airport, if we can actually translate his dialogue by reading that book. Given the sheer amount of world building that's put into this game, I would not be surprised if that was true. So up here we have the operations room. We can actually meet Tita in here. This is where that orbital computer they were working on earlier is stationed. Well, yeah, you're gonna have to get rid of all those core dump files from the segmentation faults. We can't use the thing, though, yet. But anyway, if we go through here, we can head up to the roof. There's really no reason to go to the roof, but I like to show it just in case. It looks pretty cool. And from here, we can get back in the elevator and go to the second floor, which is where we actually need to go, and return these 3 books. Like I said, don't worry about losing your opportunity to read them, especially the one that gives you the recipe. You can still read them from the shelves right after you've returned them. So that completes the quest, but that was actually only the warm-up. Well, I kind of did have issues finding one in the clinic, because that blends in quite well with the table. Yep, like I said, just a warm-up. This is really the real quest. There are some more overdue books. These ones are not in the factory. They're actually somewhere in the entire region. Approach the man of stone standing in silence within the mountain village pond, and ye shall receive. Oh no, that sounds an awful lot like someone we know. But I don't think Phantom Thief B would be reduced to stealing books. That's not really their MO. So yeah, we have a scavenger hunt on our hands. Yep, we're gonna have to look for a man of stone in our travels. I can just imagine the tone that she would say that in. She's really not kidding at all. So with that, we actually get the quest, and I think it's in our thing. Yeah, Temp Librarian Plus. So, Temp Librarian Plus, before we talk to Factory Chief Murdoch, I just want to go over this quest because it's actually a little unique. So Temp Librarian Plus, its deadline is very generous. You can pretty much do this at any time before the end of Chapter 3. And here's the thing, this quest actually gave me a surprising amount of trouble when it came to figuring out how to record these videos. Because if you do this right now, and we do have access to enough areas to do it right now, there are actually 3 more books that we need to find for this, and they're all over the Zeiss region. We have access to everywhere we need to go to find all 3 of these books. And if you do it now, you get the Impede 3 quartz, which is very useful because it lets you get Aerostorm on a character very easily. The problem is, all 3 of these books are hidden in locations that we will be naturally going to over the course of the story later, and I feel like it fits the flow of the videos better if I just get them on our first visits to all of those places for plot reasons. So, for that reason, if you're playing along, I would recommend you do this now, but I'm personally going to put this off until later, just because. Also, there's a bit of funny dialogue you can get later on in this chapter if you put it off for later. But anyway, time to talk to Factory Chief Murdoch. Why am I not surprised? Cassius Bright's done a great deal for everyone, even those he hasn't met yet. More Cassius Bright facts. Estelle, why are you surprised at this point? Well, at least this guy seems nicer than the last authority figure we met. Hopefully Mayor Dalmore is the exception, not the rule. We're actually here on official business right from the start. And, this is gonna get even more apparent later, but I'll just say right now how much this plot point reminds me of the GS ball from the Pokemon anime. And a little bit of world building on exactly how ornaments are made. Almost as if whoever made this didn't want it to be traced. Kind of reminds me of those weird, like, designations that I always used to see on, like, Nintendo game cartridges. Like, DMG, like, AGB, I think, for Advanced Game Boy. I don't know why Game Boy cartridges always had DMG. Or it was made at a shady location that doesn't number their products for obvious reasons. Nice way to put that. Well, it kind of stopped the stabby hurdy last time. So, yeah, just like the GS ball, basically. I will assure you though, this plot point will be resolved a lot better than the GS ball was. It kind of wasn't really their fault, though, that the whole GS Ball situation went the direction it did. Yeah, I wonder if they know who Professor R is. Well, good thing we've still got that note with us. Hang on a minute, we know someone named Russell. Don't tell me that kid is a professor already. Well, it's a he, so it's obviously not her. Thankfully, yeah, it's nowhere near that ridiculous. This guy's actually pretty famous, and admittedly, Tita did not introduce herself with her last name, so we only know that from basically interface spoilers. Yeah, this guy is, yeah, pretty important. Again, Estelle, why are you surprised at this point? He knows pretty much everyone. And why do I get the feeling that this professor is, well... yeah, he's summing it up pretty well. Yeah, clearly you know him all too well. We've got a fairly typical mad scientist type on our hands, it seems. But a mad scientist is probably the only person who could really understand this kind of thing at this point. Well, that's incredibly vague. I think we know by now. Has Estelle figured it out? Yep, you'd know this already if you looked at her stat screens, which you probably have by now. Yeah, we met, by sheer coincidence. We had a bit of giant evil worm slaying action. So, as it turns out, Tita was someone we were going to be inevitably meeting anyway. She's very connected to what we're planning to do this chapter. Joshua's always polite when leaving someone's room. Yeah, about that, it's pretty complicated. And Estelle is reading my mind again! Wow. It's funny, like, I just heard that in Tita's voice, because, yeah, she says that quite a bit during battle. We haven't heard a lot of her battle dialogue, so I haven't actually mentioned her voice actress yet, and actually, hang on a minute, I'm just gonna go ahead and look up her voice actress now, because I've forgotten who it was. Wait, Julie Madalena. She's Sharana, Lilina, and Florina in Fire Emblem Heroes. Wow, I didn't actually know that. So yeah, Tita's actually joined us again, so she wasn't gone for long, and that's probably why she didn't leave her, her quartz with us. Let me just quickly give her the craft cannon. Hang on a minute, why is Estelle's practice weapon in the inventory? Huh. That's actually kind of weird. Is that a bug? Anyway, it's not like it's really affecting anything. So our next destination is to go to Tita's grandfather. The thing is though, now that you have Tita following you, pretty much everyone in town has new dialogue. Basically everyone here knows her. And while I'm here, let's see if I can open some slots on her orbments. That's space only, and yep, that's actually everything open. With those two slots open, I think I can actually get Earthwall on her. But in order to do so, I think I actually have to put... it's a shame because I really like Deathblow on her, but... in the grand scheme of things, that's probably better. I was really looking forward to using her S-Craft and just proccing the instant death a lot, because that looks amazing. And Estelle will probably go ahead and take either Deathblow 1 or... Actually, Confuse isn't that bad of an idea. Confuse is actually... I'm going to actually go ahead and use Confuse on Estelle for the moment, because Confuse is incredibly fun in this game. And now's about the time that I should start showing why. Okay, I have just enough for another Action 2. You basically want as many Action 2s as possible, because they're good on just about any character. And I think I'll put an HP 2 on Tita as well. And if that's the case, I'll swap Deathblow 1 over to Joshua, because really, it's a waste not to have that on at least someone at this point. Yeah, so Hazel has different dialogue for Tita being in the party. And yeah, pretty much everyone in town does, like I've said. This whole place is pretty familiar with her, but that's to be expected. She's the granddaughter of someone very, very famous, after all. Yeah, even most of the local children know her. I really love this detail, like, it goes to show just, again, how well known she is in the town, and just, in a way, how many, like, friends her age she has in this town as well. Also, this is another one of my favorite NPCs in this area. And he knows Tita too. This guy is in charge of the displays at the shop, and he's very, very serious about it. Of course, Tita would be the person who would pester the other kids about homework. Yes! It would be certainly a shame if that were to happen. That's totally not foreshadowing a later side quest. Okay, here's another NPC that I really like in this town. She spends pretty much the entire chapter deciding on what loaf of bread to buy. And it's really great. Yeah, I don't know what, I do really like the Zeiss region, personally. I think there's someone in here who knows Tita as well. Yep. Why is it that Uriel sounds like the name of a Fire Emblem character? Her dialogue sounds surprisingly mature for someone for her age. But yeah, anyway, I love the music here, I love the overall atmosphere, it's a pretty unique town in this place, and I don't know, a lot of the NPCs in this place really stick with me, as you can probably tell. There's also the music, and someone in the comments pretty much summed up exactly what I was planning to say about this music eventually. It sounds like a Pokemon town theme, but not anyone specifically. Why do I get the feeling he spends most of his time in the workshop? I just realized I probably should have reported the temp librarian quest to the guild, but we can do that later. Or we can actually do that right now, because they just gave us an opportunity. And reported. Yeah, she's just kind of pointing out the obvious here. Ah, so she's one of those Caduceus Clay type people. She's not psychic, but her perception is so scarily high that she may as well be. Okay, anyway, let's head to the Professor's workshop. I will mention that coming here will end up advancing the day, but no side quests expire because of it, thankfully. And yep, this is Professor Russell. I'm pretty sure everyone who sees this guy immediately jumps to the conclusion that this guy is basically non-evil Dr. Wily, which is true. In fact, we don't actually even know he's... Well, I won't say that yet, but the comparison's even clearer. Although, despite the Dr. Wily comparisons, when I first played this game, in my head, this guy had the voice of Victor the Black Powder Merchant. I get the feeling this happens to Tita pretty often. She actually has a balcony here, though, which is kind of cool. But we need to head down and talk to this guy again. And he has no idea the other two are here, does he? That could have very nefarious applications. Are you sure you really are Dr. Wily? Yep, Tita's just totally forgotten about us. That's like, hasn't Athena Sykes received that exact same insult? Or it wasn't Apollo? And why do I get the feeling this happens often? Everyone who enters this guy's house gets roped into being lab assistants. Whether they like it or not. And, well, usually not. Yeah, this should tell you everything you need to know about this guy. And fade to black. That's a pretty good scene. Oh, I love the dialogue in this game so much. Well, if they came here with Tita, then that'd probably make sense. Yeah, he's just kind of like this most of the time, isn't he? Yes, Tita instantly makes everything better. She can smooth over every situation just by looking at you. Now, given Murdoch's description, this is pretty much exactly what I'm sure all of you were expecting. Wow, even Tita knows him. Hopefully he has some idea of what the heck this even is. Well, the factory chief already told us that. I thought we said let's not cut up the thing that our dad left for us. Well, that's really troubling. Wow, someone on the translation staff clearly knew TV tropes, because that's actually a trope. Hopefully it'll narrow it down, although we kind of have a bit of an idea of what this thing does. The question is how to activate it, because it seems a bit arbitrary when it goes off. Well, we're kind of doing our dad's work here. Finally, after traveling through 2 whole regions just to get to this place. You probably don't want to know. And so, it's experiment time. Yeah, let's just go ahead and just call it that. We haven't been calling it anything else so far. I actually feel like Black Ornament is even more syllables in Japanese. Like, I think it's still written Orbumento, but it's written with kanji for, like, Force Generator or something. It's just like an artifact from earlier. And for some reason, we have the Capua Sky Bandit theme for measuring this. I don't know if that's gonna do what you expect it to. This could actually end really, really badly. Well, there's a big surprise. I'm gonna have a heart attack and die of not surprise. Why do I get the feeling that we should all get out of the room right now? Well, at the very least, that didn't seem to have damaged it. Yes, experiment over. We have concluded that subjecting this to any kind of strain blacks out an entire city. Let's maybe not do that again. Yeah, with a city as reliant on technology as this, having everything suddenly go dead would probably be not particularly good for the way people go about their lives. And we've coined another term here, Orbital Shutdown Phenomenon, or maybe OSP for short. So, this thing's kind of selective about when it does that, because we've been using orbments the whole time with it in our possession, and it's never done anything like that before. So it seems like it needs to be subjected to a considerable amount of force before it actually reacts like this. And this was an even bigger reaction than the one we got back in Ruin. That one just shut down the Kronos Rod. This shut down, again, the entire city. Yeah, I knew exactly how this would go. That is an understatement. First day in this town, and we knock out the power to the whole place.